Hey everyone, welcome back to Piece of Us podcast. I am Max, and I have here
Crystal.
And Halie.
Woo! I'm excited that
today.
Hallie's on it.
We're going to be talking about online dating.
Oh boy.
Or dating in general. Dating nowadays, I should say. We should have had Grandma on here. We want to set Grandma up on a date so bad. She needs a little holiday fun.
It's cuffing season.
All right, well, we're going to get started, and let's jump into it. Halie, what has been your worst date that you've ever been on?
All right, so I met this guy. I actually didn't meet him from an app. I met him in person, which everyone says is it's like the better way to meet people.
100%.
And I can confirm that it's not, because meeting people in person also sucks. So this guy, he like asked for my number and I gave it to him. We started texting and then we set a date for that night. And we set it for like 8 o'clock. And then I texted him at 8 because I was like, what's going on? He was like, oh, I'm reading the scriptures with my brother actually. So you're going to have to wait like an hour or two.
I have to say, like, that's a pretty good excuse.
You can't be mad at that one.
I know. I was like, is this a red flag? Like,
No, but you can't
or
be like,
magenta.
Don't read your scriptures. You can't say that.
But I think it was a little disrespectful to me because like we had a plan,
A date planned,
you know?
Yeah.
And he decided to go do something else with his brother. But anyways, so then he texts me. He's like, "Hey, I'm ready to be picked up." Oh, okay.
To be picked up?
Yeah, he told me he crashed his car and totaled it,
Oh, no.
and so he couldn't pick me up for the date, and I had to come get him. So I go over to this like really sketchy area, and I was like, I'm over this. I'm so over this. I might as well just turn around. But I was like, I'm gonna see it through.
You should just kept driving.
I know, I should have. But I picked him up at his parents' house because he also lives with his parents. And I was like, so what are we doing? And he was like, oh, no, I actually planned the date. So he was like, so
Wait,
what are we
what?
doing?
Was this said ahead of time? Like, hey, you plan the date. Like,
Yeah, we had texted, and that's when he told me, like, he didn't have a car and that he wanted me to plan the date, even though he asked me out. And I was like, okay, let's go get food and, like, I don't know, look at the stars. Trying to be romantic. So I was like, I guess I'm the one planning it. And, yeah, we went and got McDonald's
okay.
because
Curious.
I had to choose.
Who do you guys think should plan the date? You think the person who asks?
100%.
Yeah, the person who asks. I don't think it's about, like, oh, the guy should always plan it or the girl.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's really who asks. And I don't know.
Well, he asked me out, and he expected me to plan it. Because I asked him, I was like, what do you want to do? He was like, I'll let you pick. Like, trying to make it like, oh, like, you got this.
Oh,
Like,
you
you're
got
in
this.
control. But he asked me out, so I was like, all right, get some.
So
going
what
on
did you
a
order
date.
from McDonald's? I'm curious.
I ordered chicken nuggets,
Good pick.
Good pick.
and I asked him what he wanted, because, you know, I was driving, so I ordered first.
Wait, did you do drive-through?
Yeah.
You didn't even go into the McDonald's?
Oh, that was your mistake.
We went through the drive-thru.
Okay.
And so I ordered nuggets, he ordered nuggets, and then I was like, did you want like a drink? And he was like, I'll just have what you're having. I was like, he could not make a decision to save his life.
Oh, no.
He couldn't. He was like, okay, what you're having. I was like, okay. So I got us a drink, and then I drove us out to this little like mountain thing to watch the stars, look at the city lights, all of that. And we ate our McDonald's, and like it was fine. But it was bad because like I just expected more, you know. And he was just weird. Like he kept saying, "F it, we ball."
What?
Oh, okay. You know, this really
Like
sounds
every
like
every other sentence ended with "F it, we ball."
Did it even make sense? Or was
No.
it like, oh my gosh, how was work today? And you're like, oh, work was good. And he's like, F it, we ball?
Yeah.
Like it was just.
Yeah. Every other sentence was ended with
What?
"F it, we ball." And you know that really threw me off after all of the, you know, not having a car, living with his parents.
You know what,
me
the
paying for the McDonald's, like he didn't even offer to pay too. Like we literally got up to the window and they were like, okay, your total's like 20 something, whatever. And I look at him, he's on his phone, just like in the corner.
Oh
sitting there
no,
on
the
his
no
phone.
eye contact.
Didn't even look at me.
I gotta
And I was
say,
like-
that is the number one thing on a date for me. If they pull out their phone, it's over.
Really?
If
You
they
don't
pull out
like
their
when they're
phone,
on their
it's over.
phone? What if they have to answer like an important, but they like tell you like, oh, hey, my mom just texted me.
Then
like,
that's
If
different.
they communicate it.
But
then
if
it's
you
different.
just pull out your phone on a date
You
and
start
start
scrolling
scrolling
TikTok.
TikTok or something, or it.
But yeah, no.
Oh,
he was
no.
just on his phone, avoided eye contact, and I was like, okay. Put my card, paid for the food.
I feel like the economy is crazy right now that a lot of people still live with their parents, which is totally okay and totally normal. And it is okay, guys. I think it was the combination of everything.
It was
together.
everything. Yeah.
Was the conversation at least? I mean, besides of what he would say every other sentence, like, did you have any connection or
Not
just...
really. Nope.
So what did you say when you dropped him off? Like, how were you like, let's go? Like, did you cut the date early?
I just kind of sat there. I was like, I don't really know what to say or do. Like, this is just so bad. Like, I hate it here. And so we like finished our food, and then he tried to kiss me, and I was like, actually, I need to work in the morning, so we gotta go.
Did you like swerve your head?
Yeah. I didn't want to kiss him, and so I just took him home, and then I dropped him off.
Did you like block his number? Did he text you like thanks for a great date? Like how did it end?
Yeah, he was like trying to plan a second date,
Oh no.
but I'm pretty sure he wanted me to plan it actually. So I was like, I blocked him. I was like, yeah, that was probably the worst date I've ever been on.
He could be watching this right now. What would you say to him if you saw him?
Don't date.
Don't date. Oh,
Don't ask anyone
that's
for their
some
number.
harsh advice. Oh no.
Sorry, not sorry. He needs to work on himself, and also gain a bigger vocabulary.
Oh.
F it, we bowl.
All right, Max. Let's go complete opposite. What has been your best date that you've ever been on?
Well, let's see. My one and only date I've ever been on. I've only ever been on one date.
You've been on more than one date, just not more than one person. But you've been on several.
Well, yeah,
dates.
several dates.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So out of all the
same
dates
person.
you've been on, same person, guys. What's been your best date?
My favorite one. I don't know if I consider Disneyland as a date, but Disneyland was fun. I'd almost have to say the aquarium. We went to the aquarium. And it was just a good time. Yeah, I'd probably say that was my favorite.
Didn't you go on one where you like went kayaking
Also,
or like something?
why is the aquarium so expensive?
Oh my gosh.
$105 for both of us to get into
For
the
two people?
aquarium. Yeah,
Just to get in?
I was like, it's like midday on a Tuesday. Why are we charging this much?
Oh my gosh, that is expensive.
Jeez.
Wow.
Noted. Don't go to the aquarium.
No.
All right, what are some crazy messages or how has online dating been? So Max and Halie both did like dating apps and different things to try to meet someone or to kind of, how was it?
Demoralizing.
You feel like
To say
that?
the least.
Demoralizing. It feels like, so in the time I was on a dating app, I only got probably about 5 matches and only one ever ended up responding further than just like the first or second message. And I probably swiped or like, yeah, let's say swiped probably about 120 times.
Holy.
So it's like you're seeing all these good looking people and it's like none of them are responding to you. It was very demoralizing.
Aw. Okay, how was your experience, Halie?
I feel like as a girl on a dating app, it's easier to get likes and like match with people, but the quality of the people is so bad. Like I was on this one app and I've been on a few apps and every single time someone would message me, I'd just be like, here we go with the how are you? How's your day? Ghosted.
Ghosted?
Like you'd maybe get 3 messages in or maybe like kind of start a conversation and then just nothing. Or you'd like start to really connect with someone and you're like, oh, tell me more about your day. Like, what do you do for work? You know, getting to know them a little better. And then it just kind of like falls off.
Oh.
And then next thing you know, you haven't talked for like 3 weeks or like 2 months. And it's like, there's just no one. it's so difficult to find someone that like you really connect with and you want to meet up with, and yeah, I just have not liked the apps.
Do
Yeah.
you feel like social media, like being on social media, having like a YouTube channel, like kind of being so public has affected your dating? Or is it always in the back of your mind? Like, do they already know who I am? Is it like using me for clout? Like those kind of questions.
I mean, I've had that concern a few times, but I feel like it really doesn't play a big role until I'm like, oh, maybe I should tell them that I also do social media stuff, or like if they ask me like, oh, what are you up to today? I'll just be like, oh, a project for work. Like not, oh, I'm making a YouTube video because I'm like semi-famous. I just kind of like dance around it until it's like, what's your Instagram? And then I'm like, oh, here we go. And then I have to explain it. And it's like, I feel like it's just awkward.
So two questions with that. Has someone like already or gone to go on a date with you and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I watch your channel." Like, has anyone ever said that? And then on the other end, when they do find out about it, do they act differently or do they like, I don't know, treat it different?
I don't think I've been on a date with someone that was like, oh, I watch your YouTube channel. But I did not accidentally, I added this guy on Snapchat.
Oh no.
And I started talking to him, and he was like super sweet and whatever. We were like getting to know each other. And then he was like, wait, you look so familiar. And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, I feel like I know you from somewhere. And I was like, or where would you know me from? And he was like, there's no way. And he's like, I have to tell you something. I was like, no, what is it? And he sends me a picture. He took a picture with me in Walmart like 3 years ago when I was with Savannah, and like, because some of his friends watch my channel.
Oh no.
And so he was like, this is you, isn't it? And I was like, there's no way. How did we randomly add each other on Snapchat? And I thought it was funny. He thought it was funny. I mean, we kind of stopped talking after that because I just feel like that's weird. Like, I don't know. I just thought it was weird. But I've never been on a date with anyone that was like, oh, by the way, I watch your YouTube channel. So.
All right, Max. Do you want to tell them your catfish story? Or are we not going there?
Ooh, the catfish story. So, I also had the same thing where they added me on Snapchat, and I was like, all right, like I'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
And like I talked with her, like we set the date for a week out, so that we have a week till then, and then we were just kind of casually talking for a while, and like I feel like I got to know her pretty good, and she was like nice and stuff, and like everything was going good, and it was a couple days before the date. And I was like, you know what I haven't done? I haven't reverse Google searched these pictures.
Oh.
So I took the pictures, reverse Google searched them, and I realized I got catfished.
So did it come up in the Google search
Yeah.
where it was like
It's like
stock
it was
photos?
it was kind of weird stuff. It was like one was off of Twitter. It was like, this is an 18-year-old girl, and it was like really weird way they had it set up. I don't know. And so I just unadded her, and I was like, yeah.
Okay, I'm curious your guys' take on this and like dating advice and those kind of things. What qualities should you look for in a partner when you're young?
Ooh, I'm gonna let Max answer that first.
Passion. I feel like being passionate to get something done or do something or have a certain career or have certain stuff that you want to get done is always a good thing to see in someone else. You don't want someone that's just, I'm just here, They don't have any goals, nothing like that. So I think finding someone that's passionate, and I think that's a good place to start.
Yeah, I feel like that's good. All right, Halie, how can you tell the difference between a crush and genuine feelings?
Ooh, I feel like a crush is very surface level. You see someone you're attracted to, they like do something small and you're like, oh, butterflies. But genuine feelings are like, you know who that person is, you kind of know some of their morals, and like you actually like them as a person. And it's not just like, oh, they're so cute kind of thing,
Yeah.
So I think that's the difference. Is like having real feelings for someone is like way deeper than just a little crush.
Have either one of you set or like written out like qualities or like boundaries that you want in a relationship?
I had a list. I don't remember everything on the list, but I did at one point write down like what I wanted.
I wrote down what I didn't want.
Wait, that's like opposite of manifesting,
opposite,
though.
yeah.
I don't feel like.
I'm like, okay, so I had a list of things that I didn't like, and that I was like, if this appears at all while I'm interacting with this person, that's an immediate no, blocked, unadded, all of that. But then I had another list that was like, okay, if they have these things, I might be interested in them, or might be interested in getting to know them better.
That makes sense. What was
Two
absolutely on your, like, not list?
Unfortunately, most of the things on that list were physical. Like being super short.
What? What if they have the best personality?
Listen,
I don't think that's wrong though, because I feel like you do have to be physically attracted to them.
that's just my preference.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I've tried dating numerous amounts of people, all different types of people, different races, ages, heights, whatever. And really short guys just aren't my thing.
All right. Okay, what about personality? What is a no-go?
Personality, F it, we ball.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah, added to the
specifically
list.
written.
That
on
was
the list.
specifically written after that date on that list. I think just being super egotistical or misogynistic, I can't do it.
That makes sense.
If either of those are a part of your personality, please stay away from me. Like, I'm not doing that. Yeah.
With me, when like I first started dating, well, stemming back to my childhood, but I had like 5 things on my list that I was like, these are like, if they ever happen, like it's end of relationship. I don't care where it is. And it was funny because once I started dating Dad, like I think we're getting a little bit serious. Maybe like we'd been dating maybe a month or so. And I was like, okay, I have to tell you my list. And he was like, wait, what's your list? And like one of them was no drugs. Like I had seen too much, you know, been around situations where it's like drugs was a hard line for me. Like if you're on drugs, take that elsewhere.
That's
I don't
actually,
know.
that's on my list because of you.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, yeah. And I've seen it even older age destroy families. It does a lot. But anyway, so drugs was on my list. Obviously, domestic violence was on my list. Like, if you were ever hit me physically with my kids, with anything like that, would be a deal breaker for me. And then, what was my third? Oh my gosh. Those were like my 2 big ones. Oh, cheating was obviously my third. Like, you have to be faithful. So, I don't know. I feel like at that point, those were just like, these are deal breakers for me. And so, but Dad's always obviously respected those because we're still married 21 years later. So,
Yeah.
how do you handle peer pressure when it comes to dating?
I don't think I've ever had peer pressure.
You don't think you've ever had peer pressure?
I don't know. I feel like I'm pretty good at like resisting peer pressure. Do you mean like peer pressure to get into a relationship?
Yeah. Or even like be more serious in a relationship than what you want to be, or take the relationship faster, or
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm really good at. I don't think I've been
Okay,
peer
no,
pressured,
that's good.
honestly.
okay, how do you recognize signs of toxic relationships early on?
Having a good support system and like people that tell you the honest truth about, because you know when you're in a relationship, you're like, it's all rainbows and butterflies and like, oh, I'm so in love, but the people around you will see directly how that relationship is affecting you, like the stuff that you don't see yourself. I feel like that was the biggest thing for me, like when I was in a toxic relationship. My mom was like, hey.
I tried it nicely without like coming in the middle, like, hey.
Hey, I know you really like him, but you should watch out for these things. And I was like, Maybe.
That's why I
I
always
learned
pay
it the hard
attention to
way.
family. I feel like family will never really have your wrong interests in mind. I feel like they'll really only see it from the outsider's perspective, and they'll tell you when something's wrong. And I
Yeah.
think you definitely need to listen up.
On the other end, is it hard though being in a relationship that you're like, but I love him so much, and my family's saying this, but like, what were the thoughts behind that?
It was just so conflicting. I was constantly in like emotional turmoil, like, well, they're saying this one thing, but I feel this other way, and it's like it's hard. But, I ended up doing what I felt was best at the end of the day, and family will always be there for you.
That's so true. We recently went and saw a movie. What was the movie called?
It Ends With Us.
It Ends With Us. It Ends With Us.
Yeah.
Amazing movie. And something that movie brought up that I didn't think of it like that before, but now I'm like, oh my gosh, I can recognize that, is a lot of times toxic relationships or even domestic violence, they start off a little, and they start off in a way that you don't even understand, or you don't even see it as domestic violence. And so I hope I'm not going to spoil the movie, but I'm just going to say one little part. But in the very beginning, they got in a fight or scared or something, and he turned around and like pushed her. But then it was like a total accident, and I didn't mean to, and it was just startled in the moment, and it started off, and it made you even question, like, oh yeah, that was just an accident, and it makes you think that in your mind. And going back to my childhood, so my mom, my father passed away, when I was 2. And my mom stayed single for a long time because she was so heartbroken, and she had 4 young kids. Like, she was going through a lot. When I was 11, she met somebody, or no, I was 8. I think it was, I don't know, 8 or 9, somewhere in there. But she met someone, and she got married within 2 months. It was fast. And we remember just little signs and little things that didn't seem like a big deal, but in the end, they were a really big deal. And so there was one, for example, I was like, Mom, watch this. And we would go into a room, and I would move a picture frame, like slightly move it. And then we would all stand back, and he would come in the room, and he'd look around, and he would go and move it back. And I was like, don't you find that odd? Don't you find that weird, Mom? And she's like, that is weird. That's really weird. And and then he had this like filing cabinet, and it was like little things too, as far as I left the cabinet door open, which now I find ironic because my cabinet doors are always left open. That's probably karma coming for me, guys. But he came in and he completely flipped out one time on me. And I was like, I'm really sorry. Like, it's just a cabinet door. But to him, it was not just a cabinet door. And, but anyways, so fast forward, moving forward, it started with little things like that. And it started with just little, like, he sat me down in the kitchen one day, and he's like, you were to call me dad, and I'm your dad. And if you don't, like, something's going to happen. And I remember thinking, like, you've been married to my mom for 2 months. Like, I'm not calling you dad. Like,
Who are you?
Yeah, I'm not going to call you dad. I'm sorry. And he got so angry with me. And then he had this one filing cabinet, and he was like, you are to never go into this cabinet. You don't look in there. You don't blah, blah, blah. And he like flipped out. And I was like, Mom, we totally have to look in the cabinet. Because when someone says not to
Don't touch the red button.
Yeah. And so I remember this moment where he left, and my mom was going through the cabinet and getting and she found divorce papers, and we found paperwork of him holding a kid hostage, a past kid that we didn't even know he had any kids, and holding her hostage, the police reports that happened in like New York, and he like fled, and like crazy stuff that you would be like, is that out of a movie? Like, what? And I remember this, like, we were like, oh crap. Like, and I was young. I was 8 or 9, and my mom tried to keep me in the dark, but I'm nosy, and I get invested in the stories and situations, and so I had to, But anyways, so then fast forward not even a few weeks later, there was, or no, I wouldn't say a few weeks later. This was actually like a while later. Like, I don't know. There were several situations that happened, but there was one situation in particular where my mom was holding Chelsea, my sister, and she was little, like a newborn baby little. And he got mad and frustrated and he pushed my mom. And she flew back. Chelsea hit her head and I lost it, and I was like, I'm calling the police, and I took off running. And back then we didn't have cell phones or didn't have that kind of thing. It was like a phone on the wall, and he like rips the phone off the wall, like out of the wall, so I couldn't call the police. And I was like, get in the car, and we were all like running. We got in the car to like drive away, and he lays behind the back or the car, so we couldn't pull out of the driveway without running him over. And then we
Sounds like you should have ran him over.
Yeah.
you know, it was scary. And so then we got out of the car and my mom's screaming at us, like, just run to the neighbor's house, just run. And it was like this whole situation, right? And it's like, I don't know, it was just extremely scary. And yeah, it was kind of scary for my mom to get out of that. But this does, what I was getting back to is the domestic violence started so little. It started from him just trying to control what I called him, trying to control how I handled situations, making sure that I did things a certain way. And it started with these little things, and then it just escalated, obviously, from there up. But it's really scary. And toxic relationships, if you're seeing those little signs early and you're noticing all of those little things, like, get out then. Like,
Don't make excuses for it.
yeah, and don't sit back and be like, well, it's just an accident, or things are going to get better, or whatever the case is. If it's toxic, it's only going to get worse, and it's sad and hard, but yeah. Do you have any more advice when it comes to stuff like that?
I mean, in my personal experience, I tried to stick around as long as I could, thinking it would get better. And then, of course, it didn't, because obviously he wasn't willing to change. And
Even if he is willing to change,
they never change.
people are who they are.
Or they'll say, oh, I'll do better. They're not going to do better.
What are some fun and safe first date ideas for teens? Don't drive into the mountains, guys.
Anything
I love you,
public.
Halie.
Yeah.
Anything public, like
Mini
the
golf.
mall, like just anything public.
Watching a movie, although that's not great for getting to know someone, but it's like, it's safe and it's nice.
Okay, and you guys are just getting to this stage, but how do dating priorities change as you get older? Do you feel like they've changed for you?
They've definitely changed for me. So, when I first started, like, seriously dating, I was like 17, so it was like serious,
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, I just want someone to love me, and I just want someone to go on fun dates with, and I was like, I just want someone to marry and all that kind of thing. But now I'm kind of just like, I'm good. Like, I'm more comfortable being single, and I just want someone to like add to my life, and that's like a lot different from how it used to be, because I was like, I want someone to have kids with and get married, and now I'm just like, hopefully someday that'll happen, but that's not like my main goal right now.
I love that, though. I feel like you should be whole, and then they just add to your life.
Yeah.
Okay, what role does past relationship baggage play in new relationships?
I mean, I was gonna say Max can answer this, but
Can't answer this.
I'm pretty sure he's only been in like 2 relationships, and one of them was in, what, 5th grade?
Yeah, I was like super, super young. Yeah, 6th grade.
How was the baggage from that, holding up
know-
in your new relationship?
I don't remember that one very well. Lasted for maybe a month or 2 back then.
It was just a little school
A
relationship.
little like, yeah.
But
Never
okay,
even went on a date or anything. It was just,
maybe not even past relationships, but like even trauma or like different hard situations. Like, how do they play into your relationships now?
I used to think of it because, like, obviously I've tried to find a boyfriend since my last. I used to think it was like, oh, once you're comfortable with a person, you just dump all your trauma on them.
Oh no, trauma dumping.
So this is what my ex did to me. This is how it's affecting my day-to-day life. But now it's just like, it's not like that. And I was thinking about it in a very unrealistic way. Like, you don't just dump your trauma on someone,
Yeah.
You got to heal from it first. And then once you're to a good spot with like your new person, then you actually like talk through it, or like you slowly ease into like, oh, this is who they are and why they are.
Right.
So,
So more sharing those experiences rather than treating them like they're your therapist.
yes, yeah.
For mine, something, just going through that situation with my stepdad and going through like the domestic violence, and whenever he would scream or yell, I would shut down and I would turn off. And so that was something I learned at, 8, 9 years old. They were only married, I think, for a year and a half, 2 years. So it was only like a 2-year period in my childhood where it was, like that. But taking that into the relationship in the future, I, in a lot of ways, was like, I kind of like you said, I don't want a guy to like rely on. I just want him to be a part of my life. But even further than that, Aaron grew up in a household where they screamed and yelled at each other, and that's how they communicated. But they would yell at each other, and then they would like work it through, and like that's just how their family worked. And so when you mesh my trauma with that, you know what I mean, with how he was raised in the beginning of our relationship, and I would say once we were married and everything, but he would get mad about something and he would yell, and I would instantly shut down and like, I can't do this. And over the years, he learned like, okay, that I can't communicate like that because that's not, you know what I mean? I don't know. It's not how I handle things. But on the other end, I shut down a lot too. And so it got to a point where we weren't really communicating how each other could communicate. And so we went to marriage counseling, and because it was almost the end of our relationship when it came to stuff like that. And so we had to go to marriage counseling. I had to heal from my past trauma, and like, he's not raising, the second he raises his voice in any way, shape, or form, I should just shut down and be, you know what I mean? Like, just not talk. No, I need to communicate my feelings too. And so it was something that baggage that I brought that we had to, work through, and now we can communicate effectively.
And that's a big thing, is like learning how to communicate with each other. It's like super big in a relationship. And I mean, obviously I haven't gotten married and like been with someone forever to the point where I had to like, actually do that. But I mean, I grew up watching you guys like better your relationship and like become more comfortable with each other and figure that out. And I feel like that set a really good example for me in relationships, is like, you need to know how to communicate with the person you're with,
Yes, it is key. Communication is key.
I'm the question holder now.
Oh.
This is an interesting one. What is the key to handling disagreements or conflicts in a relationship?
I think it goes back to that communication. I feel like there's going to be a lot of times when you have disagreements. There's a lot of times, even to this day, that Aaron and I parent differently or have different opinions on different things, but we are able to communicate it to each other, talk it through, and then at the end of the day, come with some kind of compromise.
I think the big thing is not to procrastinate having the hard conversations. Rip the Band-Aid off. Don't just sweep it under the rug and let it fester and grow into resentment. Like, handle the situation as it comes up.
Oh, that's huge.
Yeah.
That's so huge. Because you hear those things where you see the shorts or TikToks where it's like they're bringing up something that happened in their relationship, 5 years ago. They're like, well, 5 years ago, you didn't take out the trash. And it's like, okay, obviously you didn't, discuss that and work through it and then move on and not have to keep bringing up the past. Because I think that will really hurt a relationship.
Yeah.
Hard to find a good one.
Let's go ahead and just do one last one and then we're good. I only laugh about this one because you haven't had the conversation, but Max is now in a relationship. You guys have probably seen his girlfriend on his channel or on different things, but how is it? Like,
It's going good. It's going very good, yeah.
has there been any like tough conversations or conversations that you're like, oh my gosh, how do you bring this up in relationships?
It's hard to bring up tough conversations. It's one thing I've learned is like, it's hard to like bring up something that's difficult to talk about. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know how to explain it, but it's just.
You just got to rip the Band-Aid off and have those.
See, I'm the opposite. I'm like, first date, you know, what's your religion? What are your beliefs on
I
this?
don't
You
think
know,
those are hard though.
I just straight up ask. Because I'm like, I need to know this before I actually want to get to know you.
I don't think those are the hard questions. I think the hard questions are like deep family stuff or like money talk or like those, yeah,
Finances.
like all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff is the more difficult side for me.
I feel like I've gotten more confrontational on that end.
Halie used to not be confrontational at all.
See, I'm not a
And now she's-
I'm not a confrontational person.
No.
So.
I'm learning to be. My job kind of requires it because, you know, when there's drama, you just got to confront it.
You just got to have those topics. All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining us on the Piece of Us podcast, and we will catch you all next time. Bye.
Bye.